The data industry is changing fast. I spent most of the last 3 years essentially writing SQL queries from scratch every single week, but now I do maybe 20% of that manually. If you're new to the channel, my name is Matt Mike. I'm a former teacher turned data analyst, currently working as a senior data analyst for a Fortune 300 company. I just got back from Miro's Canvas 26 conference in San Francisco, and one thing that kept coming up throughout the conference is how top 1% of data analysts work now versus 2 years ago. So in this video, I'm breaking down 5 trends I've seen in how the top data analysts work. Starting with writing SQL. AI has automated roughly 30 to 40% of the tasks that occupied a typical analyst week in 2024. Now think back to a regular workday about 3 years ago. How much of it was just writing SQL? 50 to 80% of our time probably went to this alone. But once AI really started hitting the scene in 2023, it created a shift. I remember when ChatGPT first came onto the scene and people didn't really know what to do with it. It was kind of fun. People were doing really silly things. And then you would try to write some SQL with it and it was wrong most of the time, but it gradually got better. And then it became quite fast. By 2024, I was using it very regularly to help me write queries and formulas or troubleshoot logic scenarios. Today, I leverage it pretty widely. So at the conference I mentioned earlier, former LinkedIn CPO Miro Canvas discussed how technical work used to be 80% execution and 20% strategy. But for people and teams that are leveraging AI effectively, this ratio is essentially flipping. 80% strategy and 20% execution. And honestly, this is closer to how my day-to-day is starting to look. And that switch has allowed me to make much bigger impacts on my team much faster. Now, SQL was one thing, but cleaning data used to eat just as much time, maybe more. So here's what's changed there. Let's talk about cleaning and preparing data. AI automation has created a roughly 80% time savings on data preparation tasks. That's for most data analysts. And this tracks exactly with what Miro Canvas had shared. Cleaning messy data takes hours, and if you've ever done it, you know how painful it can be. It's something you can easily spend your whole day on, dealing with messy inputs, different naming conventions for the same things. I see this a lot in the work that I'm doing because I'm typically working with data that's entered by individual operators in the field, and there isn't always a proper standardization in place. But now we have so many resources to accelerate the cleaning of data. So if your company leverages Microsoft, then Copilot is something you're probably using. Of course, there's GitHub Copilot, Claude for Excel, Claude Code. There's more external AI apps like Julius AI or GenSpark. The list goes on, and all of these leverage AI to talk with your data directly. And it's only getting easier and easier to clean and prepare your data. And there's a few things I like to do to give my AI more context to understand my data and troubleshoot better, make better decisions, clean the data better. And some of those things are like creating context documentation to train my AI, having a data dictionary or report explanations, basically creating a repository of detailed breakdowns that explain your reports, that explain your business functions or just business context. All of this feeds into my AI so it understands my data. But regardless of how much you do train it, there is always room for mistakes. It can confidently trip up. You always need to approach what it gives you with a healthy expectation that it could be wrong. So you want to audit whatever it gives you. This takes a few extra minutes, but you're still often moving faster with AI than you would be without it, even if you take that extra time to audit. All right, so the technical side has gotten a lot faster, which is great. But what you do with that extra time is what can lead you to a promotion or cost you your job, which leads me to my next point, communicating the analysis. Communicating your analysis is another area where a lot of time can be spent that AI is, once again, able to help us accelerate. And so sharing an analysis used to look like building the dashboard, sending the email, answering all the follow-up questions, and that loop can take quite a long time. But with AI, this can all move a lot faster or make you a sharper presenter. At the very least, save you time, right? And honestly, there are times where the way you communicate the insight matters more than the analysis itself. And there's a lot of things you can do to leverage AI to speed up this process. I like to do things like use AI to distill my analysis into key points. I really like to transcribe with AI. So I have a repository of notes and I can talk to the AI about my notes and just have more context into what I'm doing. Or if I forget something, ask the AI about my notes. I like to use AI to create summary docs for for me, or to get my presentation started, or even just help me to succinctly and accurately draft what I need to share. So if I know what I need to communicate, especially to like a non-technical audience, it helps me cover that gap and explain it in maybe a sharper way. So without getting into a bunch of specific tools, that is a way I like to use it. Some of the highest value work is framing the right questions, interpreting ambiguous data, communicating insights to stakeholders, and validating AI outputs against business reality. So 3 major shifts in, and we haven't even gotten to the one that surprised me the most. And this one actually isn't about the data work at all. Let's talk about working with a team on AI. And this portion of today's video is sponsored by Miro. So I just got back from Miro's Canvas 26 event in San Francisco, and there's a few things that genuinely stuck with me from that conference. The first thing was how everyone is using AI, but everyone is using it differently, and how the biggest opportunity in AI right now is the integration between teams and users. And this is the gap that many of the new features in Miro are aimed at solving. And that brings me to the second point that really stood out to me, and it's their new prototyping feature. So now you can prototype directly inside the canvas, your specs, your diagrams, your decisions, your code, all of it in one place. And it even works with Claude Code. And so this means 2 things. The first is that you can code and see those changes reflect directly into the canvas in real time. The second thing is that your AI agents have complete context on everything inside the canvas while it builds. All the context of all the flowcharts, documentations, codes, prototyping, notes from your teammate. And for data analysts, this is actually kind of a big deal. They can't tell you how many times I've been 2 or 3 days into building something, and then a stakeholder comes back and goes, oh wait, that's not what I meant. And you just sit there like, I just spent 3 days on this because the requirements were in some random doc, or the diagram was in another tool, and the conversation happened over Slack, and none of it was connected to the actual build. But when everything is on the same canvas, which is Miro's thing, your team aligns before anyone is even touching any code. You catch the wrong direction in the first conversation rather than 3 days in. And I think these new features are life-changing for data teams and product teams. Genuinely excited by what Miro is building. If you want to try it for yourself, there's a link in the description, so please check it out. And thanks again to Miro for sponsoring the video. All right, and so the last thing we're going to talk about today might be the most personal, because it's less about tools and more about how you keep your skills current. So think about what keeping up with the field looked like maybe a few years ago. You watch some courses, you take some certifications, you watch some YouTube videos, and that's still very much a part of what it is today. You know, sharpening your skills, keeping up with the features, generally staying in the know. But the biggest changes right now are how AI is contributing. The skills themselves have not changed a ton, but the way people are getting the most out of them has changed. Learning how to move faster is largely the name of the game right now. And trust me, I know how overwhelming it can feel. Honestly, keeping up with all the advancements in AI is like a full-time job in and of itself. But I want to encourage you with this. Learning to leverage AI well in just a few ways is better than trying to keep up with every single tool or new system out there. If you can incorporate just a few strategies or a few new tools or just ways to use AI into your day-to-day or your workflow, that alone is a huge gain. And they don't always need to be as complicated and advanced as like building an AI agent. It can be something as simple as like context documentation, or maybe a tool that does help speed up your workflow. Focus on the things that make a genuine difference in your day-to-day. And I would say the best learning habit that you can incorporate right now to keep ahead without burning out is just consistent, practical application. Again, you don't need to learn everything, but try to get better with a few things and implement those things. So there you go. These were 5 trends in the data analytics space that are going to shape our work in the next several years. And honestly, none of them are scary. The analysts who are struggling right now aren't missing a tool. Rather, they're doing the job the same way they did 3 years ago while everything around them has changed. Like I said, just keep focusing on trying to implement AI where you can. Don't forget to check out Miro by the link in the description. And if you want to go deeper into the AI side of the workflow, I made a full video on how I actually use AI in my day-to-day analysis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.